Welcome to Lyme Time. I'm Allie from the Tick Chicks. We are all more than Lyme disease and chronic illness, and together we stand with you to overcome and rise. I'll bring you closer to the experts in cutting-edge treatments and even a few unexpected ways of healing. I'll ask the questions you want answers to regarding Lyme disease and successful ways of getting you closer to 100%. We are in this together and will not be defined by Lyme. Welcome everybody back to Lyme Time. I'm excited about this particular episode because I am welcoming Nicole Remini Wiskow. And I'm especially excited to speak with her because she is doing a lot out there and she is so passionate about raising awareness of how everyday toxins in our homes affect our bodies, and particularly in those with chronic health conditions such as Lyme disease and autoimmune disorders. I know this is something we all hear about, and I want to hear from her what her years of research has taught her. She's spent the last 6.5 years researching and educating others on hidden dangers in our environment, from personal care products to household cleaners, and how these can be especially detrimental for those with weakened immune system. We hear a lot about mast cell reactions, and I'm just so excited to welcome you, Nicole.
Thank you. I've followed you for so long, I thought, and I think you posted something about Robert Kennedy Jr. saying how we have to get healthy, and he was talking about chemicals, and I'm like, we need to talk. So I
I know.
feel he's
I'm
always
so
mission.
glad. This is amazing. And yeah, I mean, just briefly to touch on that, it really it changed, I think, a dynamic on some level when he brought chronic illness to the forefront. And whether, we'll put politics aside and all of that, there is something to be said for somebody fighting for people with chronic conditions.
100%.
And I think it's an interesting topic of conversation. I want to talk a little bit about your own personal journey. I know you have um, a very real connection with the devastation that can occur after, somebody who has an immunocompromised system, what they go through. And it kind of goes back to your sister, but I also want to hear what happened, before, how you were operating in your life before that, and how you came to be so passionate about the subject.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, thanks for being open to this conversation, because I think it's really important. I think whether someone's dealing with um, an autoimmune disorder, whether it has to do with Lyme disease, MS, fibromyalgia, because how many of us have been tested for all of those other things versus Lyme, right? Because it's like the symptoms are very, very similar. So
Mhm.
it is kind of crazy. But, when you're talking about chronic disease, I was actually listening to a podcast the other day with a Stanford doctor, and said 50% of children have chronic health issues now, where like 50 years ago it was 1%. So it's like,
Unreal.
what changed, right? Even infertility, there's more people battling infertility in the last 40 years than ever. They take toxic chemicals out of their home, all of a sudden they're pregnant. So it's like there's something to this. And for me, what happened to me was, 50 years old, I went to the Dominican Republic. I was all excited about, going out there. It took one night of sleep for me to wake up thinking I was going to die the next day. Like, literally told my husband, go get my mom because I think I'm going to die in my sleep. Like, that is how bad the symptoms were when I woke up. Not knowing what it was, they made me go to a hospital. And, you don't want to be treated in another country for medical issues, but they just put me on all sorts of antibiotics. Nobody knew what it was. But it was like instant. Like, I was weak. I had brain fog. I had terrible aches and pains all over my body. And we just could not figure out what it was. But the more research I was doing, I'm like, this every single symptom sounded like Lyme disease when we got back to the States. And I could not snap out of it on that trip. I went to the doctor. I said, hey, I'd love for you to test me for Lyme. It's the first thing that pops up for me when I put in these symptoms. Nope, you don't have a bullseye. It's not Lyme disease. We'll again test you for everything else, right? So it was lupus, MS, fibromyalgia, special allergy testing, food sensitivities, went through the whole thing. Long story short, I finally found somebody who would test me, came up with a multiple Lyme disease, different Lyme, right? One in my head, one in my heart, just all of the things. But at that point, too, it was like I'm talking a year of trying to find a solution, not feeling well, driving in my own neighborhood, pulling over, going, I don't know where I am. I recognize nothing. And calling my husband, going, I need you to like look at my location and drive, like guide me home. He's like, you're 2 blocks away. But that is how bad it had become. I couldn't drive myself anywhere because I was so disoriented all the time. I could never make plans because I didn't know how I would feel when I'd wake up the next day. To the point I'm like, I'm looking at photos of myself before this happened and I just break down and cry, because I'm like, I miss feeling like I did in that photo,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like, and I don't know how many people can relate to that, but it's like this the heartbreak of knowing how I felt before that day. Finally, went to a doctor. It's funny. Went to a major hospital. I don't want to bash them, but the doctor had sent his nurse out of the room and he said, listen, this hospital will not treat you for Lyme, even though it's coming up in your blood work. They would only treat you if you had the bullseye. To them, you do not have enough Lyme to be treated. I'm like, and I'm crying because I'm like, you know how sick I am. I mean, it's there in black and white. And they're like, there's literally nothing we can do for you. So he sent me to a place that specializes just in Lyme. Their blood work came up the same, but their treatment strategy was $90,000 cash. And they were like, but we can't guarantee that you'll feel better at the end of this treatment. And I'm like, okay, we need to keep searching because I'm not spending $90,000 with a
A
maybe,
maybe.
right? So
Yeah.
I went to another guy who I read his stuff. And the funny thing, when he did blood work on me, and this is where this all comes into play, he said, it is crazy to me the lack of toxicity in your body. He
Mm.
goes, he goes, it's just surprising to me. And I told him how we switched because I had during that time, right, I had found a friend who was like, listen, I know kind of what you're going through. I would love to try and help. If I could help just even with the toxins, would you be open, to the company? And I said, sure. It was like amazing how fast like the inflammation went down in my body. I started to slowly feel like myself again. I was able to do things. I was able to get out. It was like night and day change in my system. And so then around that same time, I lose my sister to lung and brain cancer. And that's when the doctor said your level of toxicity is so low, it blows my mind. My sister dying of lung and brain cancer who didn't smoke, I was like, there's something to this. And
Hmm.
so I ended up going, you know what? I really have to dive into this. And when I started to learn how Lyme really just thrives in toxicity in the body, I was like, oh my God, like we need to go full guns on this. And so I just started doing a ton of research. And that research just led me down this rabbit hole of how people, right, they're just constantly being medicated for all sorts of autoimmune issues, right? Not getting to the root cause. And one of the things that the doctor said to me, he said, if you would have not switched your products when you did, you would be in my office in a wheelchair.
Wow.
He said you would not have been able to walk with what you have going on in your body. And so that just blew my mind. And then I'm like, why am I not sharing this with people? And so that's again where it just became a passion of, going, what are we bringing into our own homes that we're not aware of, that is feeding the Lyme, that is feeding autoimmune issues, feeding the inflammation in our bodies. And it's like, it's crazy how it just boils down to like your laundry detergent. your cleaning products, right? Just the basic things, because everything that touches our skin soaks into the bloodstream within 26 seconds. And while I was in research mode, the crazy thing is we had found out that that particular brand of hotels was using outdoor bug killers, or whatever they're called. I can't come to the word right now. Outdoor insect products. They were using it inside their hotel rooms. So the doctor concluded that that amount of poison that my body was exposed to actually woke the Lyme up in my body, which is why we didn't ever see a bullseye, because the Lyme was from a long time ago, just kind of sleeping there. But when the host was in danger, it woke up. And that to me is the most disgusting thing ever to know that it was like, nope, you're not killing off my host, right? Blew my mind. And so, but people in this particular chain of hotels were dying, and they didn't know why people were dying. There was like an FBI investigation. It was huge. Like, I reached out to the FBI going, hey, I lived, but I got super sick.
Did you smell anything at the time or sense
Well,
any of that?
no, that's the thing. It was like there was nothing that indicated to me like we need to be out of this room. I can walk into a room and go, I smell mold. Like my body just knows.
I
But
can do that too. I mean, it's really been since I had Lyme disease, and I
yes,
can walk in and it will start making me sick within 45 minutes, 30 minutes of being in that
yeah,
room. And it's really kind of crazy how your mast cell activation just goes on fire. And every once in a while, I'll smell something, and it will cause this insane reaction in my brain, my sinuses, my ears, my eyes,
yes,
my throat. Everything just kind of goes on, crazy. And then, I know that I need to work on my immune system a little bit more at that time. But let's talk about those everyday toxins. I was just talking to a bunch of my girlfriends today, and I was, everybody's sort of peddling this and that and this and that on social media, and you're just getting bombarded with everything, and there's so many new products and so much more information. A lot of it is very helpful, and of course I'm always up for a new product that you don't have, or a new supplement or something where you don't have to have a prescription. I think science has come so far in offering men and women alternatives to a prescription. But we were laughing because like we're all reading these labels, wondering what's in, the latest thing that's flying across our social media. And I said, it's really kind of funny that we're all so obsessed with the labels on
right,
supplemental products. Yet we live in LA and we've got smog every day. We have pesticides that are outside, and we have breast augmentation, we have Botox, we have, EMF radiation, we have microwave stuff that's going on. And we're not even really questioning that. I mean, is anybody that's getting Botox reading the label?
my God,
We really have a lot to contend with as women. And of course, not everybody's doing that. And we were kind of laughing about it, but we really put so much interest in kind of the wrong things that we're not even looking in our homes. So
right, right.
tell me what some of the big culprits are that our listeners may not even be thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, the simple things like Dawn dish soap, right? You're formaldehyde, there's fragrance. In this country, there's been no regulation since 1938 that forbids manufacturers from putting toxic ingredients in products. You look here in the US, there's 11 ingredients that are banned. In the UK or Europe, there's 11,000, if not more, right? And so they're very, very good at keeping an eye on what's coming in to their countries, but also what's in their products. But what people don't realize is when you see the word fragrance, legally, that's how they're allowed to hide toxic ingredients in your products. Most people don't know that. But even like phthalates, there are people say phthalates, I say phthalates, but that ingredient alone, again, is attached to fragrance. But it's an endocrine disruptor. It creates inflammation in the body, prostate cancer in men, breast cancer, ovarian cancer, infertility. Then you look at, so again, you got the fragrance, the parabens, the phthalates, you look at the ingredients in Clorox bleach. I mean, Mrs. Meyer's product, sorry to hurt people's feelings because they always think Mrs. Meyer's is healthy. Back in the day, there actually was a Mrs. Meyer's, and she was in the state of Minnesota and she created product. But then she was bought out by the big guys, right? And those big guys have to dumb down those ingredients. Otherwise, they could not sell it at a retail store. And that's why you see companies like Burt's Bees being bought out by Clorox, right? You see all of these natural companies being bought out because they cannot afford to sell to retail stores. The way the retail market works is they say, all right, Allie, we'll take on your product and you need to sell it to us at $14. And you're like, but it costs me $13.90 to make the product. They're like, do you want to be in a big box store? Right? And they give in, but then they don't make any money. So they end up having to sell off. So when I say that, it doesn't mean that those ingredients stay the same. So that's what people have to realize. That's going on with food right now. It's like these healthy food companies are being bought out by these bigger name brands because, again, they can't afford what retail is insisting. So you have to look at, and I worked for the company that made Method, Mrs. Meyer's, Fabuloso, Soft Soap, Lip Smackers. It was all made in Minnesota. Mr. Bubble, if anybody remembers
Oh,
Mr.
yes,
Bubble,
I do.
right? Yep. I love Dr. Pepper Day when we used to do the Lip Smackers product. But when you learn where the ingredients are being
Oh.
sourced from, that's where it's really a problem because they're being sourced out of the country. They're mainly the product will be made out of the country. It'll be finished off here in the US. But that's the thing too. I like the idea of, we partnered with a wellness brand that sources their ingredients here. Advil is made in China. I don't want to buy anything made in China anymore. I think we're all a little bit brighter when it comes to things that are coming from China now. So I think that our eyes were open for 2 years, right? So we bought, I like that this company has everything made in America. It's plant-based, it's biodegradable. It's like 20 days old when you're buying it. It's not like a protein powder that can sit on a store shelf for 18 to 24 months, right, before they have to sell it to you. You look at some of these expiration dates, that should be your very first indicator, right? Of, if it can sit on a shelf so long, then it's sitting under my sink for so long. It's like, I don't know if I want this on my body and in my bloodstream, right? So that's what I always tell people. It's like, you've got to look out for those parabens, those phthalates. Parabens are an ingredient that is considered a forever chemical, and it's
Mm.
showing up in women with breast cancer on mammograms. And so, you being in California, here's the one. Look, I lived in California most of my life, so I do say it's one of the most amazing places to live. The weather is beautiful, right? It's like just views for days. But at the same time, they have something called Prop 65. And I don't know if you're familiar with Prop 65, but Prop 65 indicates if a product is sold in California, you have to say this has traces of carcinogens in it.
Mm.
Company we partnered with, they are not on the Prop 65 list. They're essential oils, their body products, their beauty products. None of it is on that Prop 65 list. So I do feel like that is a really good thing that California put out there to insist that
Sure.
that products are on that list. But
And I
yeah,
think we should mention that the company that you're speaking about is called the Wellness Company.
yep, it's the
And
wellness.
we should really kind of go into what kind of products they offer because I think everybody out there is listening, taking this all in, and they're wondering how in the world they begin swapping out every chemical that they have currently in their home.
And that does seem scary, right? And I always tell people, you don't have to do it right away. Let's take baby steps, right? So what happens is most of the time people will reach out to me and they could either reach out to me on social media or however they want. My website is currently in reboot mode as matters. Today is like we're trying to put the finishing touches on it. And then I find out, okay, what's going on with you? What's going on with your body? What is the most important thing? What is your biggest concern right now? If it's aches and pains, right? I want to talk to you about the body products that you're using, your shampoos and conditioners. They have 475 consumable goods that you use daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, or even yearly. I don't need laundry detergent every single day, right? But laundry detergent is a big culprit of what goes on in our bodies. You think about it, right? You wash your, and people say, but I use dye free and scent free. I'm like, doesn't matter. There's still ingredients that have to hold that product together,
Mhm.
right? And so you have to be really aware of that. And think about you're sleeping on a pillowcase, right? Those toxins are, you're like, oh, it smells so good. Yeah, okay. But those phthalates are now soaking into your bloodstream within 26 seconds of contact, right? So that's the types of things that you have to think about. You know, you're walking on your floor, your kid is walking on the floor. All of those toxic ingredients are in the blood within 26 seconds. So I just always say that. Think about when you're washing your dishes with Dawn dish soap, 26 seconds. And that is one of the number one poison products for children in the kitchen. But we go, oh, but the commercial, they're cleaning the cute little ducklings, right? Stop, stop, stop getting sucked into the cuteness, right? So the things that this company has, 475 products, everything from your daily needs for your body. So shampoos, conditioners, body washes, all, you know, anything that's going to touch your skin, but also toothpaste. People don't even think about the toxic ingredients in toothpaste. Triclosan is a huge culprit in toothpaste. And so what I like about our toothpaste is that it has melaleuca oil in it. That is the antibacterial. So it's killing the bacteria in the mouth before it's going into the body. Science is showing that the mouth and the heart are very, very connected, right? So we want to kill that bacteria here, right? And so, and before it's in the bloodstream, but again, creating inflammation in the body and really causing damage to the heart. So we have all of your like body needs, again, shampoos, conditioners, body washes, baby products. Did you ever see the movie or documentary called Stink?
No, I didn't actually.
You
No.
have got to watch that. It will blow your mind.
Okay.
Yeah. And I want to say like the CEO of Seventh Generation was on it because it was back in that day. But if you look at all the lawsuits against people against Seventh Generation now, he's no longer with the company. Um, but just, and I always tell people, just Google the lawsuits, right? Look, Google method lawsuits, Mrs. Myers lawsuits, Seventh Generation lawsuits. You know, I think that we're very confused with it being on store shelves that we trust, right? So we don't realize really what we're exposing ourselves to. So we have every cleaning product that you can imagine, from your kitchen to your bathroom to your floors to your wood cleaners. So we have all of that. There is not one childproof cap on any of their products. 500 million bottles sold, not one cap has ever been needed. In 40 years, this company has never had a lawsuit. 40
Incredible.
years. That's
Incredible.
crazy. That's amazing to me, right? So we have all of the cleaning products for your whole house, all of the body products that you need, everything to replace your Bath and Body Works. We have your candles, we have your plugins, right? But without those toxic ingredients, that is going to like just have your Lyme just thriving, your autoimmune symptoms like just destroying your body. Inflammation in this country is the silent killer, right? Because it makes us more sedentary. We're not getting out walking. We're not working out, right? Because we feel awful. We don't want to do those things. So we have to do what we can to bring down that inflammation in the body and start making you more comfortable in your own skin. Aches and pains, but also we have incredible supplements that have been written up in medical journals. There's no synthetics in it. I think people say, well, I'm going to go get my, you know, when people tell me they get their supplements at like Costco and GNC, it's like, I want to fall over in my chair because there's no quality really in that. And in this country, there's not a whole lot of quality control, right? But these supplements not only have been written up in medical journals, but also they've been studied um, independently at the Freiburg study in Germany, the Sterling study in Ohio. They're two of the biggest supplement studies that have ever been done. But every single person that has done the study, and I have all the paperwork to back this up, within the very first hour of taking our supplements, inflammation was down in the body 23.3%. Every single person within the first hour. We have a mineral in it. I'm so tired, you guys, so I'm so sorry. I had foot surgery, and so I feel like I'm stuttering. But I went to the doctor today just to have him check it, and he messed with it. So like I feel like I'm a little like, eh.
Oh my
So
gosh, no, you're doing great. And this is
okay, good.
I'm writing frantically because
I
of all
can't.
the great information.
Okay, so I feel, but I do feel like I'm like stuttering because I feel like I'm a little like loopy from him messing with my foot today. And it was only like an hour ago. So I'm like, I'm in pain. I'm just like, oh, but we have a mineral in our supplements that is guaranteed to absorb in the body within the very first hour of taking them. Plus, it marries to the vitamin. So it is going to absorb in the body within the very first hour of taking them, and we do have them like split up like this. It's really cool. This is, and I take the bone and joint just because of the Lyme disease, because there is a product to help get rid of inflammation, but
Mhm.
also it's going to go after tendons and joints. It's like how inflamed and how horrible do your tendons and joints feel, right? This specifically does that. And they come in a 90-day, you buy them for 30 days, 30-day supply, pre-measured for you. If you do it in 90 days, they give you a 100% money back guarantee. If nothing changes in that 90 days, they'll give you all of your money back.
And what is
So
that product called?
this is our peak performance supplements. And
Okay.
so they come in an AM and a PM. So they're pre-measured. So you're not like at hundreds of bottles. When I went to one Lyme disease place, they sent me a box of, I swear there was 50 bottles in this box. And it was confusing. It was hard to just keep track of. This is nice because we're going to keep track of it for you.
Just
And
day
so
and night. That sounds great. And what about do you have a makeup options for makeup?
had you asked about that too. So we also have a beauty line. This is what's cool. This company operates in 19 countries, but nothing crosses borders. So China makes for China, Korea makes for Korea, Germany, Italy, everybody makes their own. We're still the same company, but because we operate in Korea, we have to meet the global beauty standards for our makeup, which is the highest beauty standard in the world. And so we have none of the cancer causing ingredients, no hormone disruptors. There's nothing that's going to mess with your metabolism. There's no cancer causing ingredients in any of the makeup. I mean, and it's everything that is on my face is literally what they have. So we have the foundations, we have your eyebrow pencils, your contour kits, your lipsticks, and your, I don't know if you follow my page, but I don't know if you saw what I just posted on lipstick. It will scare the heck out of you. But it is like so good to know that in the last 6, 7 years, I have not put any of that in my body. It's just, it's really like remarkable. It's like formaldehyde is like in beauty products, baby products, bath products. I mean, they use it to keep dead bodies fresh. Why do I want that on my skin? Right? It's
It
like,
really just doesn't make any sense at all. And our poor little babies, I mean,
yeah,
you mentioned just all the stuff that we were raised growing up, and we were the Fruit Loop generation and
yeah,
Tang and all the stuff that was popular because the astronauts, went on the moon and da da da. And there was just so much marketing going on. I feel like it
yeah,
really made the industry make a turn to
right,
pleasing the people out there
right.
and doing everything. So yeah, I think that our generation, meaning your and my generation, really was the beginning. I mean, my parents are so healthy, and their generation was a lot different. They didn't have fake wheat and modified, grains and all the stuff that we're and so our generation is kind of the first one that's feeling a lot of chronic illness. And I cannot imagine what our little kids are going to be facing
Right,
with their own health conditions.
right.
Let me ask you, does the wellness company also make anything for insect repellents?
Yep. We have an insect repellent for the body, and ticks is on there. It's one of the things that's on there. And I want to go back to baby really quick because when I brought up that movie Stink, what they did was they had scientists go and buy phthalate and paraben free. That's the other, right? That's a really, you've got to look for that, ladies, because that is breast all the way, right? Um, they took phthalate-free and paraben-free products and they took them and they studied them. And these were Johnson and Johnson. Every single one tested positive for phthalates and parabens, even though the bottle said that. So babies are already born with hundreds of toxic ingredients in their body because of us, right? And like you said, we're putting all this stuff on our body. We can't wait for them to be born so we can put that pretty pink smelling lotion on them, right? And so it's like we've just keep adding to their, their chronic illness that they end up with. And so, when I was doing some Lyme research with this company that they did a documentary, and because I did TV production in the past, they wanted me in on it and they wanted my opinion. And I thought it was really interesting when they said that Lyme disease could actually be passed on from mom to baby. And I thought that was very, very interesting as well, because my mom tested positive for Lyme.
Mhm.
And I've never had, I never had the target.
Well,
So I thought
something's happening out there because we went from 30,000 cases recognized by the CDC every single year to 500,000
it's insane.
new cases in the US. I mean, it really is just quite the epidemic. And going back to our babies, I think this also plays into the whole peanut allergy and all of that. What
So
were we doing when we were pregnant? Well, we're slathering ourselves in
right.
lotions and
Yep.
oils and creams and different things, that
Right.
make us feel good in the moment. But the truth is that it's breaking the blood barrier.
It totally does. You're absolutely right. And, look, I'm guilty of it. I think about Lysol, right? I would put Lysol all over my kids' crib because they were like teething, right? And you're like, oh, they're teething. I don't want them to get germs. And I'm putting Lysol on my kids' cribs. I'm putting it on their high chairs. And it literally says, do not spray on food surfaces.
Mm.
And so we have that too. So we have all of your like daily needs for cleaning as well. They came out with the very first plant-based EPA approved germ killer. It will kill 99.9% of household germs, so salmonella, flu virus, HIV, COVID. And guess what we didn't run out of during COVID? Because we make our products here in the US, we didn't have to rely on ingredients coming from out of the country. And
That's
so
amazing.
same thing with our hand sanitizer. It's 97% plant-based. They were recalling hand sanitizer like crazy during COVID because people were ending up with neuropathy.
Mm.
So because of the amount of alcohol and toxins going into the bloodstream. So, and again, we ran out of nothing because we had everything. So,
I know it was kind of a tough journey for you to get to this place. And I know it's your passion project. And I'm sorry for your loss and for having to go through Lyme disease and treatment and all the things that we do that we suffer from when we're immunocompromised. However, I will say that I'm really just inspired. I'm proud of you. I want to go out and buy every single product right this second. And I want to just tell the people listening, it's not as hard as you think. Get a paper bag and go through your home and just release it all and just surrender it all and just know that you're doing better for your body and your family.
like
And
just
because
start
this is
simple.
just another layer that we're layering on to, our bodies are we're at our brink anyway, just having Lyme disease. And what we're doing is layering on. And I would also like to say for those people who say, I've been treating Lyme for 20 years and I'm still really sick and all that. I always ask about diet, but I really haven't really ever thrown in the toxicity part of it and everyday chemicals because
Right, and
they
gut
are
health.
forever chemicals. And
Right. Gut health is huge. You have got to take care of your gut health. And that's what I did too. Like you said, surrender. I surrendered everything to this company. What goes on my body, in my body with supplements, gut health, shampoos, conditioners, the best mascara you'll ever use in your life. But I also want to tell people too, I think that people will think that because it's healthy, it's expensive. And I think that again, that is what retail did do to people. It scared the heck out of them because they think healthy, expensive. Well, the thing that is really cool is that these guys make everything here in America. They source it, they make the bottles, they make the boxes. So they're able to not have to pay all these other people. So they keep the price points really low. I was looking at like one of our glass cleaner, for example, it's under $7, but it's concentrated. So you only use this much of it and you fill the rest with water. So it makes 7 bottles. Windex at Walmart to buy the same 96 fluid ounces would be $22. Ours is $6.99.
That's amazing.
You
That's
can't,
amazing.
it's like, so now I'm on the, okay, but it's saving you money. Well,
Yes.
right now, right, we all need to save money. And I'm really excited because I'm going to go see RFK Jr. is speaking here in Phoenix on Halloween. So we bought tickets for it. So I'm really excited. So I had to get my Make America Healthy hat, right? Because
Well, I feel like if you could get 5 minutes of his ear, I think there could be a really good sounding board there for our future. And
yeah.
I know we have to go, but I want to just say that I'd love to feature the wellness brand on the tickchicks.com. I think it would be a great opportunity to allow people to easily go in there and get linked up to your company. So everybody look for that in the future. It shouldn't take us long to make that happen. And please let us know where we can find you and how people can follow you and also the wellness company.
Yeah, so as far as getting to the wellness company, it's kind of a like referral program.
Mhm.
So come to me, or Allie, like I'm gonna get you, like we'll talk about because you need these products too. We all do, right? So we'll talk about that. So either they could reach out to you once we get you set up with the information. But other than that, honestly, Instagram is really the best place to get a hold of me until my website is up. And it's kind of weird. It's Nicole underscore B underscore Remini. So that's just Remini. One day I woke up and my 45,000 Instagram followers were gone because my page was gone. So I was like, oh my gosh. So I couldn't just use Nicole Remini anymore. So I had to do the Nicole underscore B underscore Remini. So that's like a really great place to, and it's like I have my link trees on there as well. So there's information on the products. We also have a beef subscription box with no hormones, no antibiotics, no mRNA vaccines, no female growth hormones. So that's there too.
Wow.
So there's some videos they can watch, and that will directly get them in touch with me as well. So that's really the best way to do it. So yeah, that's it.
Thank
That's all I got.
Thank you so much. That's a lot. And again, I appreciate your dedication to making the lives of everyone so much better out there and speaking your truth and just being a friend to all of us in the Lyme community. I really appreciate it. I hope you come back.
I will, and thank you for all that you do. Like I found you and I'm like, this is my girl. So I love everything that you're doing in the education piece. So thank you for what you're doing because it just validates what we're all feeling out there when we feel like when we're told we need to see a therapist or a psychiatrist because we're crazy because our blood work shows nothing's wrong with us. I just like that you're out there like cheering us on, you're validating it, and I really appreciate it. So thank you for your time.
Thank
Congrats.
you. And we'll see you soon. Much love. Thank you.
Up to you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Lime Time Podcast. If you like what you heard, please subscribe on your favorite platform to be notified of new episodes. Remember, this is not intended to be medical advice. Take your findings to your provider to see if something is right for you. No two bodies heal the same, and your doctor knows you and your labs best. You can find out more about the Tick Chicks at thetickchicks.com, and if you subscribe there, you'll be notified of upcoming events like the in-person Losing Lyme retreat that I host. I also have shopping pages dedicated to helping your at-home symptom relief, as well as a private support group. Join the Tick Chicks tribe on Instagram, YouTube, Meta, TikTok, Pinterest, and X. You are not alone.